Hi, my name's Kyle Floyd. I'm the director of the new dramatic web series Undecided, and tonight I'm going to be giving you an exclusive behind-the-scenes look at the making of the series, including never-before-seen footage. I'm also going to tell you about all of the pieces that went into the production, some of the challenges we experienced on and off the set, and about the overall experience. Hope you enjoy it.
Say,
So when you watch Undecided, I think what you'll see is that it's not exactly confused, but it's definitely a meshing of genres, right? It's a meshing of tones. I mean, when this show was conceived, it was conceived very interestingly, and it was conceived continuously as it went on. It was very much developed in the writer's room, and it was very much inspired by a lot of things that we had seen in our culture, whether it was mob movies or whether it was The Sopranos or whether it was, you know, one of my favorites, Boardwalk Empire, the HBO show. I mean, we were drawing on both basically pieces from that crime genre, as well as basically things from our own life as college students, because that's what this show is. This show is when these college students are acting as both children of their parents who are you know, the heads of these crime families, and they have to really take over the family business, but they also have their own ambitions, and they're acting as students as well. And so we have that side of it, and then they're coming into contact with all these individuals who are civilians, right? So it's really these two worlds meshing. So we have this crime world meshing, and we have this civilian world. And I think what I thought would be an interesting idea, and I talked with Sharif, the creator and producer, about this a lot, was that, you know, I was always interested with a show like The Sopranos and like with Boardwalk Empire, when these shows left off, you have the children of these people, and we never really get to see where they go in these series, and it'd be interesting to see, you know, when they go off to college. We see in some of these series, some of them do get a professional education, some of them do go off to college, as their parents want them to do. And in this series, it's kind of unclear, and you'll see that the parents, they're kind of conflicted, as well as the students, the adolescents are conflicted as far as what they want to do.
Is he serious?
Yes, he's serious. If I want to take over the family business, then this is
Then what?
What choice do I have?
What's up, bitches?
Because they have to decide, you know, where their heart is at, where their future is at. Is it with their family? Is it with, is it with a clean future, doing what they want to do, free of that guilt of, you know, killing people or dealing drugs or whatever it may be. So that was a lot of the conversation in the writers' room. I think you will also see in the show it's very much a mix of comedy and drama, and that's where I use the word confused sometimes. I think we sometimes mix between these tones of being comedic and dramatic, and being between parody and straight on, because we kind of slipped in and out of that sometimes. Sometimes we wanted to copy these tropes from The Departed or from The Sopranos and kind of play on that, because we had these kind of these caricature characters who were that type, whether it be Taylor's character, or Sam's character, the undercover cop. So there was a lot of that. There's some characters that you see have similarities to characters in other works, but I think we were able to differentiate them as well. We talked about that. How can we differentiate them? So in the conception of this series, we talked about we wanted to be inspired by these works, but we wanted to be different as well. We wanted to be something new, and we think we think bringing up this new generation of the crime world and kind of them running straight into this civilian world would be a very interesting thing to look at. And the younger generation kind of colliding with the older generation, I think that is always something that's fun to look at. One of my favorite movies of all time, The Social Network. That's what that's all about, and that's what a lot of great movies are all about. In my opinion, it's about the clash of generations, especially nowadays when it is all about ambition and the generations kind of having this kind of spite for each other and succeeding one another, and that's what this show very much is about. It's about one generation trying to take over another, and you'll get to see that as the series develops. But that's basically the general conception of the show and how that story developed as it went on. So the people involved in this show, there are so many. It is really hard to break that down, and they're also important. They really are. I think what's most interesting about the people, is where they came from. You think, we're a pretty prominent film school here at BU, right? And you think it's going to be film students, right? It's going to be film students, very zealous when you put an idea like this out there. Oh, it's a new web series and we're developing. We want people to, jump on, and we'll put these crew calls out and yada yada yada, and everybody's going to come swarming to this. No, that's not really the case. I mean, that's kind of how it started. It starts with a guy like Sharif, the showrunner and creator of this show, coming up with one of these ideas and wanting to have it developed and wanting to have it fleshed out, and bringing in other creative people and other technical people like myself. He comes to me and he asks me, hey, do you want to direct this show? And reaching out to me, and of course I'm a film guy, and that's how it starts, of course, and it doesn't always, but that's how it started in this case. And so Sharif came to me, and that's how it started. But I tell you what, as this goes on, it did not happen to be the case that it was necessarily film people. And I can go down the line here through our whole creative team. I mean, we start with our writing staff, our primary writing staff, which fluctuated as the year went on, or as the 2 years went on. We've been working on this for 2 years. As the 2 years went on, it fluctuated. Obviously, people came, people went, but a core really stuck of Sharif, myself, Jack Brickner, who's a fantastic individual, who does so much for this show. He's an advertising major in the School of Communications, not a film major, but for this show, Jack does a million different things. He does stuff for us promotionally. He does the score for the show. He does our music. Extremely talented individual. He'll be there on set when we need an extra crew member to do boom or sound recording. He is one of the main actors in the show. You know that. He does fantastic work there. Again, Jack is a non-actor. Jack is just a guy who stepped in, extremely talented actor, and to my knowledge, no formal training, which is fantastic. And again, not what you expect, but it's great. So he does that. Like I said, he's a writer, one of the more talented writers that we have. And there's one of the examples of it. You don't know where you're going to find these people. It's not necessarily going to be the people concentrating in film or concentrating in TV. Just people with a lot of talent, a lot of creative ability who are going to come on and make a difference in the show. And he has done that all the way through. Even to this day, he's studying abroad in London right now, but he's still working on scores for the episodes and sending them over. So his commitment is, just followed through to right now, and he'll continue to work on the show, obviously, until it's done. But I hope you get to see, his work in all the episodes, because it's there. We continue on, and it just gets wilder and wilder. Stacy, another one of our head writers. She is and I know I'm gonna get this wrong. I think she's a biomedical major, right? Or it could be a neurobiological. You get the point, right? Nothing related to film. Nothing related to film at all. And Stacy she's one of the more committed, one of the more loyal crew members we have. Not only is she a writer, like I said, she is at almost every single shoot. there early, ready to go, and it's without failure. You know, it's she's there when we have film students who are signed up to be there and they're not there. You know, it's just one of those things, and I think that shows that, you know, the people you work with, you want to work with people regardless of where they come from, regardless of what their their major is, what their concentration is, if they're interested, if they're committed, and for God's sakes, if they can show up on time and work hard and care about the project, and that's who you want to work with. And Stacey's done a great job on crew for us and writing for us. I go down the line, Andrew Evans, a great writer for us. He is a comm guy, and he's just done some of the best writing of the season, brought out some of the comedy in our scripts. Another guy who's been there to crew for us occasionally, but he's been great. And that's our primary writing staff that's been there for the most part. But going further into the show and expanding on our core creative team, one of the biggest pieces to the entire production was Matt Guthrie, who I hope I'll get this right too. I think he's either a business or a finance major. Matt, tell me if I'm wrong, or put in the comments section because I'm gonna look like an idiot. But Matt basically came in, helped on a couple crew shoots in the beginning, and I didn't know much about him, but he would always, you know, get there right away, you know, work really hard, yada yada yada, things that you notice, and it's awesome. And then he would start putting up all these really friggin' elaborate lighting schemes and just notice things that I wouldn't notice or that no one else would notice, and it really just started to stand out. And I guess I just got to asking him, like, Matt, what do you do? And he's like, oh, you know, I'm this, you know, business or finance or whatever the hell. And, you know, it's crazy. It's crazy. And he ended up, you know, doing most of the major lighting for our first season and a lot of our second season shooting. And he went on to branched off and started making his own show called Undecided, which I'm sure is going to be fantastic when that finally does come out. Because again, he's an extremely motivated, extremely, you know, brilliant individual, and he just got the stuff technically because of his, you know, spatial smarts and whatnot. Again, another guy not from a film background or whatnot, but just came in and was able to deliver, was able to do it, and that's what's so unique about this collaboration. I would say on the crew side, that's in general. We've had cinematographers come in who aren't, you know, in the film world, but they like photography and they've just had a gift for it. And then the acting side of it, the actors have been from everywhere. We found that some actors with more formal training haven't worked out as well. We found that non-actors have, in some cases, been the best actors, whether that's Jack or whether that's Molly McGlynn, who's been absolutely fantastic playing the role of Natalie. I mean, she is one of the more natural actors I've seen. Her and Jack had fantastic chemistry, and they've done absolutely wonderful things. One of the actors with formal training and training to be an actor is Belen, and who plays the role of Alexandria, and you know, another case where it's the opposite deal, but she's just fantastic as well. And she'll be on set sometimes, and her formal training will come in very good use because she'll be teaching us things like how to execute you know, a fake hit or a fake push or something, and to show that on set because she's been trained that way, and she executed some excellent scenes, some very tough scenes, including a scene you'll see in episode 3 or 4 where she just toughed it out for several hours with lots of makeup on, and I give her lots of props for that. But yeah, it's a collaboration of people from all over the place, and that's the thing I take away from it. I really don't care what you know, what you don't know, what you're studying. I care that you come to set. I care that you're a nice person, you're a respectable person, you work hard, you care about the project, and that's what almost everybody on this project has been, and that's why I'm really, really grateful to have worked on it. And I look forward to working with all these people in the future if I get the chance. Now we get to talk about challenges on set, off set, in my head, you know, wherever. There are a lot of challenges in the making of this series, and there's still challenges right now because it's still being made. But try to just lay out some of the bigger ones. And I wrote a list here. Just in general, man, I would say in general, just experience-wise, knowledge-wise, coming into it, we were very low on that spectrum. Yeah. Me being a first time directing this many people, I got to the first shoot and it was tough. It's tough. You just have to take everything slowly, but it was tough because we didn't know what we were doing, and we had to work our way through it, and we had to kind of learn by just doing it and failing at it. And I think that was kind of one of the biggest issues. We didn't know what we were doing, and we had to try not to implode and try not to get mad at one another. We had to try to, I think, get a little bit of an education as we went on, in addition to our kind of hands-on experience. Learn what we could about what we were doing, evaluate ourselves from week to week, that kind of thing. I think that was the biggest challenge, was the lack of knowledge and the lack of experience. But that being said, that challenge lessened every single week and every single day, every single hour that we worked on the show, because every single day, week, hour, we got more experience, and that helped. It helped a lot. So another big challenge for us was equipment. Equipment is something that, while the school communications provides us with a lot of equipment, it's fantastic. You get a lot of a liberty with renting out equipment from the school communications. You have limited access in terms of what you can rent out. And again, like I said, lack of knowledge. We didn't have necessarily all the people and all the crew knew what they were doing all the time. That was not always the case. And we didn't always have everything we needed for every shoot. And that was difficult. But I think what was even more difficult is the travel aspect of it. When you have all this equipment and you want to do a show like we wanted to do, which was fairly ambitious as far as things that people our age had done so far in terms of a series format at the school, you need to be getting to a lot of different locations all the time. And a lot of us, if not all of us, don't have cars, or we didn't know someone who had a car or a van or whatever. And I mean, it was a pain in the ass. It was like, I mean, let me just, I don't want to like harp on it because I'll just sound like, the yellow carts that you use to move in with the laundry. So, no, they're laundry carts, but you use them to move in at the beginning of the school year. You know them, right? I mean, you take them, you push them, you put your move-in stuff in, you move it in, you return it, yada, yada, yada. These carts we used to move our equipment all around campus. All around campus. East to west, west to east, and everywhere in between and outside of those boundaries. Load up the equipment and start pushing. A lot of the times that was only me. Again, I don't need pity or anything, I'm just saying. But first year I think we had the cart, what we did was actually pretty clever. We, and this is a juicy story for you. Sharif, I'm not even sure he wants us on record, but that's too bad. So the way you rent one of these carts is you hand in, you rent it out by giving someone a form of ID in one of the residence halls, and then they give you the cart out for like an hour or so, or whatever. And that's just not really helpful when you have a film shoot or something, because you need the cart for more than an hour, it doesn't do anything. If you're gonna push it around campus. And so what Sharif did, what was genius, what he did was he basically just left his ID with these people for several days. He returned and then said he had lost his driver's license, I think, because he had left his driver's license with them. Instead of his BUID, he could explain it better. But then they gave it back to him, assuming that he had lost it and not taken a card. And he got it back. So he was able to retain possession of the card. And what we were able to do is we were able to keep that card at the bottom of the school communications in the basement, right near Field Production Services, with a sign on the bottom of the cart that says, "Do not touch," like private property or something like that, which surprisingly worked. And I think that goes a long way in terms of talking about the integrity of the student body here, because no one touched it. That's phenomenal. No, it really never failed. No one ever touched it, except this one time, I think, but it was returned right away. But we used that. So we were able to come into comm, load up the stuff. Basically had to come into comm, load up the stuff. I had to bring that back to my dorm and keep all the equipment in my dorm until Saturday. And then we pushed that all around campus. That was not the case this year. This year, we weren't able to do that little scheme that Sharif did last year. And so what we had to do was just play by the rules, kind of. We had to, and it's not like we could take a card out and keep it in comm during the weekend or something, so there's like a halfway point, nothing like that. So what I had to do was I had to go down on Friday. I had to rent out a cart. I had to give them my ID. I had to take the cart over from Danielson, which is Far East, all the way to comm. I had to load up the equipment. I had to push the cart back to Danielson. I had to unload the equipment in my dorm because they need the cart back. You can't keep it out for more than an hour. And then I had to return the cart to Danielson, office. And we had nothing to transport our equipment. And that's why I think we ended up paying, I feel like it was like $1,000 in Uber fees this year. Just putting a lot of equipment in the back of Ubers. Or Lyfts, as I prefer. But that was really unfortunate. And I think it's a problem that a lot of film students, or, if you're producing a TV or web series, would face if you're renting out a lot of equipment and you're trying to, make it a somewhat dynamic shoot with locations all over the place. It's extremely difficult, and comm should figure out a way to help students with that, because that's what we're dealing with this year. And I would also implore you, if you're doing a shoot like that, to arrange it so that there is more than one person committed to doing that every week, because otherwise it becomes a lot of a burden. But yeah, that was the travel challenge. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. Actors. Now, to say actors challenging would be, well, that would be an understatement. No, I'm just kidding. I think the actors were fantastic for the most part. The difficult part of it was, and this goes for crew too, I think, and I can kind of mesh this with the other challenge I was going to discuss, is just coordinating this whole thing. The logistics that go into producing either a television series or a film, for that matter, but I think more so in a television series, because this goes on for a long time, it's very continuous, is just coordinating all these schedules and all these dates and all these times and getting all of these people to commit to it is so freaking hard. And I think one of the biggest mistakes we made and one of the biggest challenges we ran into was we ended up leaving our schedule up to the mercy of our actors. And it was one of the things where we kind of left it up to, when are you available, instead of, this is when we have to shoot. And I think we did that in large part because we're kind of desperate as student filmmakers, in that, we'll take anyone we can get. We don't have 50 people come to these auditions. We want actors. We want people who want to be here. and so we kind of give them, I think, a little too much freedom, and sometimes you may have actors that take advantage of that, or actors that just are balancing multiple commitments, and it's just a very difficult thing to deal with for both producers, for directors, for the actors, and it's tough. And I think you have to respect other people's commitments, but at the same time, everyone on a production has to come to an understanding of what the commitment is, and follow through on that, because otherwise it's just not pleasant. I could go into that for a while, but I don't want to. I just would say in general, the scheduling, extremely hard challenge. I think you have to have very, very dedicated scheduling, and organization to be able to follow through on that. And I think that's something that we struggle with a lot, and could definitely do a lot better on in the future. And I've learned from it tremendously. So, trouble writing the story. I think for us, the trouble in the writing room, I wouldn't say the trouble came when we'd be like arguing. I think a lot of the arguments we had in the writing room were actually very, very productive. We challenged each other a lot, and that was good, because I don't think we were afraid a lot of the time to just piss each other off and knock down our ideas. I mean, we weren't jerks to one another necessarily, but we thought there was a bad idea, and we thought there could have been a better idea. I don't think we were afraid to say it, and that's kind of the environment we want to perpetuate. I mean, I can't tell you how many... I've been in screenwriting classes at BU where too many of the students just don't want to criticize each other's work, and it's often just the teacher doing that, and that really shouldn't be the case. But I think on Undecided, we've had a good open writing room where people just, straight up criticize people's work, and that's how it should be. It should be constructive criticism, and it should be the best product possible. So I think a lot of good came out of that. I think the struggle and the storytelling for us was just dealing with the scope of the show, number one. A lot of times we would, I think, write things that had just, a production value too high for what was realistic. We didn't think of those things sometimes. We just kind of wrote. Sometimes I think we struggled a lot with digging ourselves into narrative holes that later we would find out, with only weeks left to go in a semester or whatnot, that there was no possible chance of digging ourselves out of, and we really had to brainstorm a way out of that. Finding ways to consolidate after we had so many characters, finding a way to get down from that, discussing among each other who the most important characters were and what the most important narrative was, finding a way to inject theme into what we're doing, so it's not just we're watching something happening, and more about I am really watching a film about this, and that follows through every single episode, and there's kind of something keeping it all together. I think we struggle with that. I think that's definitely a hard thing to balance, because you're always focusing on what is happening in this scene and what is going to happen in the next scene, but to work on how does everything that's happening inform that theme, that's a hard thing to do, and I think we could have done better with that, but I think we learned, and I think we tried, and I think we've come out with something that's pretty darn good. BTS Sharif, get in this shit. Yo, Undecided, baby.
Undecided.
Here's Jack. He's in charge of sound.
This is gonna be the last shot of the season.
This is my love.
Oh shit! Wait, no.
Well,
it's
no, not this.
Wait,
No,
come
not
on.
this. I'm saying this BTS is gonna be the last beat.
Action.
What took you so long? I had like 5 shots of tequila and 2 cups of jungle juice. I didn't have to get up. Nice. Wait, hold on a second.
Dude, we got to. Red carpet. We're actually gonna go buy a red carpet.
To be honest, I could probably get my boss to let me use side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be sick.
That use what?
The side from the side. It's just gonna be
So
the
this is a
writers-
wrap. We had a great day
It's
today.
just gonna be the writers and cast sitting in the first row.
The overall experience of working on Undecided was, I think it was ultimately, it's just probably one of the more difficult, mentally taxing, yet most rewarding things that I've done throughout all of college. And here's why. It was, and I'll say this very bluntly, the Undecided production, and you really got to listen to me when I say this, the Undecided production was, at one time, a massive failure. And at the same time, a massive success. And I'll tell you why. It's because, and there's proof of this, if you watch from the first episode of this show to the last episode of this show, and not only that, if you watch from the first to the second, to the second to the third, to the third to the fourth, and so on, you will see exponential improvement in every area. Whether it's directing, whether it's writing, whether it's the sound, whether it's the lighting, whether it's the blocking, I don't care. Every part of it, you will see improvement. And that's not because it's not because of what we learned in class. It's not because of what we read in a book. It's because we failed in the previous shoot. We went on to the set. We didn't know what the hell we were doing, and we failed very badly. It was really embarrassing, and we had to come back and we had to look at it very objectively and say, this is awful. Look, I'm not a delusional person. I don't think anyone else working on this production is. We were able to look at stuff early on, things that we had done, whether it was the early title sequence or whether it was early scenes in our episodes, and we were able to say, oh, that's bad, or that's shit, or this could be so much better. I think we were very straightforward with ourselves in that respect, and we evaluated ourselves, and we took notes of what we need to get better at, and we got better at it. This isn't rocket science. When you fail, you're going to get a blueprint of how to do it better the next time, and that's exactly what we did, and you'll see that. Did we continue to fail? Absolutely, but I can tell you we didn't fail at the same things. No, it was, we were failing at things that we hadn't figured out yet. And that's the way it is. But I mean, it is so obvious when you watch this show how much better we got from episode to episode. And if people knew what we were dealing with, if people knew what we were dealing with in terms of, issues we had with getting a number of crew, or just having a number of resources, or having enough time. In our second season, we had even less crew in our first season, and it looks even better because we just simply put in more commitment to it, and we had learned from what we did before. And it's just, you look at it, you think we had 3 more people on set. We didn't. It's just slowing down and fundamentally getting this stuff right. And here's what I hope for the future of people producing things at BU. I hope that more people, more kids at BU will start going out and doing stuff like this. And I hope that things change, because I think right now you have a situation where a lot of people are afraid to fail. I really believe that. Or it's either a lot of people are afraid to fail, or a lot of people just don't know how to do it right, or they have every excuse not to do it. And you can come up with every excuse not to do it, believe me. I mean, I have run through them all in my head. I can run through them all in my head before every production I do. I've done it with 4 documentaries I did before this. Don't have enough money, don't have enough equipment, don't have enough people, don't have enough time, don't have enough expertise.
You start packing tomorrow?
Those and a lot more, you know. And at the end of the day, you got to do it, and you got to fail to get better. You got to stop making excuses. That's, I think, one of the biggest reasons why I'm so proud of the group and what we came up with, even though it's far from perfect, because we had the balls to go do it, you know? That says something, I think. I think that says something. You know, like I said, all that equipment is just sitting there and calm. Just get a T2i and a boom mic or whatever, 2 people. You do some pretty crazy stuff. Is it gonna suck at first? It might, yeah, probably will. But when you do it the second time, it's probably not gonna suck as much. So again, that's what I hope for BU. I hope people will stop worrying about getting it all right, knowing everything. It's not what's important. It's important to go out and do it. So we're just about at the conclusion of this this behind-the-scenes talk about the making of Undecided. Everything that went into it, some commentary, of course. I think you'll be very happy to see as this series goes on. It should be very exciting as the season goes on. There'll be episodes releasing in the coming weeks. I know the plot line's going to heat up. Look, guys, we got drugs, we got murder, we got guns, we got sex. What else do you want? All right? Pushing the boundaries here, okay? We're all over the place. We're out on the docks of the Esplanade. We're in the basement of a dirty college party. We're everywhere, okay? So just, tune in as these episodes come out, and you're sure to see something awesome. You're sure to see one of your friends there. Hopefully you know someone who's involved in the production. It has been an excellent ride thus far, and hopefully it continues to be. I hope you enjoyed this tonight. Please continue to watch Undecided. Look out for future episodes. Thank you for watching, and good night.